Peace. What's up? This is Kenyatta of Hip Hop Motivation. Today I want to talk about some of my favorite books that I've read that have inspired me over the years, and hopefully they will inspire you as well. Before we get started, I want to say rest in peace to Prince Rogers Nelson, better known as the stage name Prince or the artist as. This was a book actually that I bought about, I'll say around like 2008, 2009. Book on his life. It's called Prince Life and Times. And what's interesting about this book, it gives you a breakdown of like the beginning of his career when he started back in like his first album came out in 78, April of 78. The album called For You. But what was really interesting about this book, besides talking about his family, his mother, his father, and how he started, was the fact that he had an album that is regarded as one of his best projects ever, but it never came out, right before Sign of the Times, called Dream Factory. Now Dream Factory, they said maybe like a few songs that were on Dream Factory made it to Sign of the Times, but the Dream Factory album was himself and the Revolution. And Prince, to me, is one of the greatest musicians of our time. I think that his work, that he's done as far as like all of his creations, he's innovated so many different sounds in music, even in hip hop. Like I'm sure a lot of producers out there have been inspired by his work. Even for me being just a fan of music and not a musician myself, his catalog is just ridiculous. Like he has so much music. I think besides Prince, the only two people to me beyond Prince would be like Michael Jackson or Stevie Wonder, that will have a heavier catalog than, about the same catalog as Prince. But to me, Prince, in a way, his stuff is a lot more like, has a lot more genius behind it to me, because of his, just the risk he would take with his sounds, and different artists that he actually produced that are like from Sheila E., The Time, Jesse Johnson, The Family, and a few other people, of course. But this book right here, Life and Times of Prince, if you find it, this would be a great book to get, to pick up if you can find it. Now that I think about it, I shouldn't have opened this book. I should have just left it in the plastic, but I had to crack it open so I could check it out, because I'm a big fan of Prince and his work. And, the other day, I was actually the day after he passed, I saw a few interviews, and then I also heard a few people saying that, of course there would never be another Prince, but for any musician or anyone that is inspired by his work, and they are in the field of music, they can actually reincarnate everything that Prince knew when it came to music through themselves, and that's the way everything works. Like genius it can be reincarnated through the person it inspires. Like Beethoven inspired people, and there's people that have surpassed Beethoven's work, and in turn, there'll be people that can actually, in turn, people that can actually take the inspiration from Prince and add that into their music and take what he knows and what he's done to another level. And just like Prince said that his biggest inspiration when he was coming up was Stevie Wonder. And as you see, he took what Stevie Wonder did by playing all instruments. Prince did the same and took everything that Stevie Wonder did to the next level, and so on and so on. And that's the way inspiration works. Reincarnation is really based around inspiration, because the big self, which is spirit, it transmits through all of us. We're all connected to the same source of power. So being that we're all connected to the same source of power, we can take on any gift that we see anyone else possessing through inspiration. And where I really learned about that was in a book called The Divine Illya by Walter Russell. Now this book right here, it breaks down a lot of natural law principles, but the chapter that really breaks down what I'm telling you about reincarnation is in a chapter called The Reincarnation Principle. You want to check that out, where he says a genius such as Mozart continually reincarnates himself through everyone whom he re-inspires with his genius. That line alone lets you know that anyone can possess, anyone, no one holds the rights to any genius, because the true genius is God, and we all can take on whatever inspires us and reincarnates through our own being, and we can bring it forth to any marketplace. If you're a basketball player and you're inspired by Michael Jordan, you know, and you're working out and you're getting the body in tune to take things to the next level, you have the ability to surpass Michael Jordan or do the same things he's done, or Kobe Bryant, or whoever. And that's the way the reincarnation principle works. You know, we move through inspiration, and that's all of us. But get this book, The Divine Illya. This is volume 2, by the way. They have a volume 1 that's also great. I read that one as well. It's one of my favorite books. Then I want to get into a book that really breaks down natural law principles. A book called The Cabal Illya by the 3 initiates. This book right here, actually, this was a translation of the ancient wisdom of Tahuti, also known as thought, out of the ancient land of Kim. And in the Greek, Hermes Trismegistus brought forth the Cabal Illya, which is the same person, basically. Tahuti and Hermes Trismegistus is just a translation of the same being. And this book right here breaks down natural law, breaks down the law of mentalism, breaks down the law of correspondence, the law of rhythm, the law of vibration, the law of polarity, the law of mental gender. And if I miss one, make sure you get this book. This is a very good book, because this is with this book, this is the knowledge of all knowledge. This really will help you understand how not to break certain natural laws so you can live in harmony with other people, including yourself. That's a great book. Cabal Illya. Another great book that inspired me was a book by Masaru Emoto called The True Power of Water. Now, in this book, what he talks about how water, if he would take certain labels, and he would even play certain types of music in the presence of water while looking at it through a special microscope, and he would see certain crystals would develop from whatever the energy of whatever he posted on, whatever he labeled the water, or whatever type of music he played around the water. And what's interesting is that to the naked eye we can't see it, but water possesses, it has a vibratory frequency that takes on whatever you place it in front of. So right here, for instance, as you see, the word thank you taped to a vial of water developed this type of crystal right here that you see. And he also taped the word you fool to a vial of water, and you see the chaos that's involved that we see, but to the naked eye it just looks like a regular bottle of water. And it's interesting because the brain is 80% water. Our bodies, you know, as we get older, the water depletes. You know, when we were little babies, I think it was like 90% water or so. And as we get older, the water depletes from our system. I think we're at about like 75% or whatever. But this is a great book to read because it teaches you about the power of water, and how we have to, you know, be careful with how we label ourselves, being that the brain is 80% water. And because whatever we label and whatever we call ourselves and think of ourselves as, we take on those traits. And this was a great book. They also talked about this book in a movie called What the Bleep. Not this one in particular. They talked about his first book, and by the way, he passed away. Rest in peace to him as well. Masaru Emoto. Great book. Check it out when you get a chance. Now, moving on. I have a book called The Road Less Traveled. Now, this book I've had for many years. It was given to me by one of my clients. It breaks down a lot of principles of personal psychology. One has a section on discipline, has a section on love, has a section on growth and religion, a section on grace. The section that really stood out the most to me, the two chapters are the sections on discipline as well as the section on love. This guy right here, M. Scott Peck, he also had a book called People of the Lie. That was really good. You want to check this one out. Really, it'll open your mind up into how we, really discipline ourselves and how important discipline is, as well as what type of love we're giving out. And one of the main ones that really stuck out to me, one day I was reading it with my girl, and we were talking about, he was talking about something about how, anyone that does anything to you, they're really doing it for themselves. So you don't ever have to feel like you really truly owe anyone anything, or no one should really ever make you feel guilty by not giving them a certain thing, because anything that someone is doing for you, they're doing for themselves as well. And that's in the love section of this book, The Road Less Traveled. Make sure you get this book as well. It's a great book. Moving on, once again, one of my favorite authors, a guy named Naeem Akbar, Know Thyself. He also has another book. I couldn't find it before we did this recording. A book called Breaking the Psychological Chains of Slavery. But the book Know Thyself is a great book. He really breaks down the principles of self-knowledge. He's in the psychology department at the University of Tallahassee. So he's very important to the movement, very important to the cause. Naeem Akbar's books are great. You want to get this one, trust me. Know Thyself. Now, last but not least, I will probably say this is my favorite author out of all the authors I've ever read. It connected with me, and I felt very inspired to continue, teaching along the lines that this guy right here is teaching in. And this is a guy named Neville Goddard. And this book called Your Faith is Your Fortune is a very important book to me. I've actually learned so much. What he does is he breaks down the Bible principles. He breaks down the metaphors of the Bible, and it's helped me a lot. Like in this book, he actually has a breakdown of the 23rd Psalm and the 12 disciples. He has a breakdown of Christmas, the true meaning of Christmas. He has a breakdown of the foundation stone, and so on and so on. This book is a very important book to me. Hopefully, you can find it out there. I'm sure you can, because it's not out of print. Your Faith is Your Fortune. The front says, plant the seed, stand still, and the law will grow within. Book by Neville. Also, another book by Neville is a book called Resurrection that I'm sure you'll like out there. A lot of people can't really get into this stuff right off, but I would say, if you're going to start with Neville, I would start with Your Faith is Your Fortune. This is a good one. So that's this edition of Kenyatta's Favorite Books. I hope that it helped you in the process. I hope you check out these books. What I'm going to do next time, we'll probably do movies. We'll do music. I just want to just give you guys some things that inspire me and help me on my journey. The Secret to Ballin' movie is available now on Vimeo. You can go to www.thesecrettoballin.com. There's no G on ballin'. And we also have in June The Secret to Ballin' Journey, which is coming soon, audiobook and book, as well as Culture Vultures, the book. I know a lot of y'all out there waiting on that. So I appreciate the time. Thank you for everything. Peace.